Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Fixed Ops Mastermind. Today, we are excited to have Tonya Plutz here with us, and she is the founder of Clutch Queen, but she has an extensive automotive experience background behind her. Tonya, welcome to Fixed Ops Mastermind.
Thank you, Dave, for having me on. It's an honor. I appreciate it.
It is great to have you on. I love the graffiti background. I am
Yes.
graffiti, so I love to see that background.
Yes.
So how did you wind up in automotive? How do you wind up here to this position?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people think that, it was my dad. I grew up with it, but actually, it was my mom. I was trying to fill an elective in high school, and I signed up to school kind of late and missed the photography classes and all that. So my mom was like, why don't you take an automotive class and you'll, at least you can learn how to change a tire, change your oil. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, the first thing we did was tear apart a V8 engine and rebuild it. And I was like, oh my God, I fucking love this. So, 2 years of automotive in high school. Then I did go on to Universal Technical Institute, and I specialized in their TPAP program, which is Toyota and Lexus. Mm-hmm. And then, luckily for me, Universal Technical Institute is very good about getting us a job right out of graduation from the automotive repair program. So I started at a Toyota dealer not long after, and I wrenched for a few years, and at that time, and I don't want to date myself, but 20 years ago, the industry was a lot different, and women being in the automotive space. So there was a lot of restrictions put on me, at that time. So I decided to go to Right Service instead. And
okay, and that's kind of the path that I took, but I went to Right Service because I was not a good tech. So.
Well, at least you're honest, I mean, most technicians have a pretty big ego, so.
Yeah. I may have an ego, but not if you find people that I worked with back then, because they will corroborate my story about not being a good tech. So, but I went through Ford's asset program. So
yeah, okay.
Another great program about actually placement when you're out of the program. So. That's a big deal. And it's something that UTI does really well.
Yeah, I think they did a great job. And like I said, after I was a tech for Toyota, went to service writing, I excelled in that. I realized that I was able to use my technical experience to fully explain what was needed, because I understood, and I was able to articulate it, but without being condescending. I was able to break it down in an understandable way for the clientele, and I just caused my career to rocket. Truthfully.
Yeah, that's a great skill as an advisor, is to understand the technical portion. But more than understanding is what you just said, which is being able to explain it to a customer in terms they can understand. Like you can explain what an oxygen sensor does in technical terms. It doesn't help a customer understand what's in their car.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's, to your point, that's so crucial and so important. And when you don't have the right people that actually understand how a system works, or how much, in a way to relate it to their customer,
Yep.
In the fixed ops side, right? That we always say the hardest job in the dealership or in anywhere is the service advisor. And right. They're the ones getting yelled at. They're the ones that are, the middleman between the technician and the customer. And, and so having that, tool in your tool belt is, so to speak, is very important. It's, it's, an underappreciated skill, I would say. Absolutely.
Yeah. No doubt. And certainly for anybody listening, I don't mean this to say, if you were not a technician, that you can't be a great service advisor.
Correct.
Because I've worked with great service advisors that came out of a Starbucks. They were really great with people, and then it's being able to cross that bridge, right?
Correct. Yeah. And it's, truthfully, I think, when I was, especially if you're switching brands, I think it's important to be able to ask the questions that you need to the technician. There's still things, especially as I progressed in my service advising career all the way up to management director and general manager, that, cars change, technology changes. So, it's okay to ask, the questions to the tech, like, hey, how does this work? Is there an easier way to explain this? But, again, putting egos aside and being able to just say, hey, I don't understand this, and being forthcoming. Because techs do sometimes, they really like educating too. So yeah, they do it. They won't admit it, but they like when you give them the credit,
Absolutely. And I mean, look, techs are the most educated people in the dealership.
100%.
90% of the time, right?
Yep. 100%.
They
Wealth of knowledge.
constantly.
They just don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, we all have to have our own skill set, right?
Yes, exactly.
So obviously, we'll state this obviously, you're a woman in automotive, right? So you're already at a minority position because there's such a small percentage of women in automotive. But you moved yourself up into service manager, service director, and even general manager, which is a leap that 99% of the service directors never get to make. And I've got to believe that the number of women who have gone from service director to general manager is a 0.00 something percent.
Yeah, 100%.
How does that occur? How did you do that?
So honestly, I felt like I think I was always chasing to not be boxed in. And I felt that if I kept climbing that corporate ladder, I would have more autonomy and more control to run things and see the areas of opportunity with being innovative and ways to attract more clientele and customers in through the doors. And I think that's something that I was always chasing in the corporate world that never filled my cup, truthfully, where, when they tell you as a service director, oh, you got to do finance, you got to be a sales manager, you got to be a used car manager. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to do all of those. We're going to fast track it. I'm going to create like a hybrid program for myself. And I actually did that at Audi Westmont in Chicago. In my GM at that time, John Tennant, was amazing in mentoring me and allowing me to go beyond my limits, because I didn't want to be small. I wanted to keep going because I was like, oh, I could do this. I get excited and passionate about being able to learn new things, new skill sets, and challenge myself, truthfully. So, and I pretty much put together a fast track program where I was doing my job, used car manager job, my job, finance, learning, all behind the scenes, and while still running, a multi-million-dollar service department. And I think I showed a lot of stamina and will to push myself to general manager. And so, but, and then like I said, I got all the way to the top, and it's like still not filling that need, that desire that, I just felt like it was a cookie cutter position. And you think you make it all the way executive management, that you have the ability to control more and do more. And unfortunately, in corporate America, that's not the case. And, some people need that structure and that rule. But me, I think I've always wanted to do something different. I've always been that oddball that, didn't go with status quo.
So some people just want that title,
right?
They want the title, and I'm not taking that away from anybody.
Right.
Look, if general manager was your aspiration in life and you get there and that fulfills you, awesome.
Yes.
That's what it's about, is finding what fulfills you in your life. Um, your story is incredible from a bunch of different angles. Number one, that you had a GM that was there to mentor you and support you
Yes.
in doing that, and didn't view you as just a threat, and
Right,
tried to
right, which
get in
most
your
of them
way.
do, truthfully. Like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they're gonna take my job."
And two, that you're running a department, and I don't think most people out there realize how large service departments are, right? Like
Right,
you're running a multi-million-dollar business every day, and you're out there learning a completely different job on your own. It wasn't like somebody said, "Oh, you're going to be the finance apprentice," and
correct,
and go.
correct.
You were doing this on your own and had to go
Yes,
learn all those other parts of the job, uh,
yes,
which is something that I don't think is weighted heavily enough when they're thinking about their next general managers, is
correct,
the amount of experience that their fixed ops directors and service directors already have in
correct.
everything that they need to know about a sales department, except maybe exactly how to process selling a car or grabbing that
Right,
rebate from the manufacturer, right? But
correct.
that's
That's
easy enough to learn.
100% correct, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. I think, it and a lot of service directors, I would say, or managers get lost in the sauce where instead of thinking bigger, they think that that's all that where they're capped, and I think that for me personally, I wasn't going to settle, take that as, my fate. I was told it was going to take years and years for me to get to GM. And, within, I would say truthfully, a year of me, mentioning it, that all
Mhm.
of a sudden it came to fruition. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and came to fruition because you put the work in, right? It
correct.
wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't just you didn't just raise your hand and say, "Man,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can be
Oh,
the
pick
GM."
me. Yeah. No, no, I definitely had to prove.
Yeah. I mean, that's something for those who are just entering the industry, be it a man or a woman. Something to understand is there is a lot of work that is going to go into you progressing up through the industry, right? There's when I went from tech to service advisor, I spent 10 years as a service advisor before I got a management position. That's a long time to learn the industry, and it doesn't mean you have to take 10 years,
Right.
but it's not overnight that you learn
Right.
the things you need to know.
And I will say to that point as well for the listeners that always do more than what's expected. I think another thing that put me as, as someone that my GM could rely on is I made it a point that when he was on vacation that I didn't want to call him. I just made
Right.
decisions and I had a reasoning behind the decisions,
Mhm.
and I made sure that it was fair for the customer, most importantly, but also for the dealership, that we're not giving away the house, so to speak.
Yes.
And I took a lot of pride in not needing someone to micromanage or babysit or get his approval. And I think as time went on, that trust really locked in and built a very strong, you know, base for me to
Mhm.
build off of. And so, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's something that maybe we've forgotten over time, is that do a little more than is required of you. Um, my dad used to always teach me to he may not have put it in those words, but he would always say, do the things so that when they're ready for that next position where you want to be, the first thought is, oh, I want Dave Foy for that position.
correct.
Right. And
Yeah,
if you're not the person going above and beyond and doing extra and things, you never put yourself in that spot to be the person that they think.
right. Yeah, I think what I've seen, and I don't, again, not to date myself, I think just the employees it's kind of transitioned in as to oh, I'm doing my job, I want more money, and then I'll do more, when
Yeah.
in reality it's the reverse. Go
Yeah.
way harder, go above and beyond, give it your all, and then you're the obvious choice and you don't
Right.
have to necessarily ask. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes you will ask and you still won't get because sometimes there's other politics at play, but I will say work ethic has got me where I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in it. I always look at it as if I was going to go and learn to surf, the first place I'm not going is Waikiki Beach in Hawaii, right? Where there's 30-foot waves, right?
100%.
Because I deserve to surf 30-foot waves.
Right.
I'm gonna get wrecked.
Yes.
So
100%.
and
Yeah.
it's the same thing in work. You've got to do the work and put the work in before you get the right to take that 30-foot wave.
Yes.
Right. So
absolutely.
And so let's talk about how you wind up doing what you're doing now, which is super cool. And obviously you're a driven person, but you're a driven person with mission and purpose behind that. And so let's talk about the cool place that you're sitting in right now.
Yeah. So I'll tilt my camera back a little bit. You can see the full graffitied wall that says "Not Your Daddy's Garage." So truthfully, how Clutch Wing came to fruition was obviously I got the GM position. I relocated to Jacksonville, Florida for it. I was super pumped. They put you on a 90-day guarantee.
Yep.
They throw you in a broken store and they tell you fix it. And I'm like, yes, I could do this. And truthfully, I mean, that store is losing $148,000 a month. The first 6 weeks, I dropped that profit loss to 67,000. So I was on a right track. But unfortunately, when you have corporate with their hands in it, they're not at the store level. You have toxic employees that you're trying to get rid of. They won't assist you, because of, they have their own reasoning, and I can't, but unfortunately at the store level, when you hire talented people and they quit because of these employees, and then you need, corporate's help training all of your employees because they don't have the formal training that they should have. Mm-hmm. It gets scary because if somebody's out of compliance on a finance deal, guess who's responsible for it? Right. Me.
Yep.
So I think I felt so defeated after getting down there, not having the autonomy to do things as I thought I could, and I just lack of help, and I got frustrated. And to be honest with you, I had a little bit of an ego, and I said, "Oh, with my resume, I'll get hired anywhere." And so I quit, and I spent a long 3 months unemployed and reflecting on everything and what I truly want and what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I did work 6 months at a marketing firm. I was a marketing director, and I think that's kind of what changed my perspective. I realized, I always thought my sister got the creative genes because she's a hairstylist, and I'm the one that's more logical and analytical and all that. And working for a marketing company, I'm like, hold on. There's a lot that's lacking in the automotive industry. First of all, the marketing in general. I mean, things are getting better now with AI, and but a lot of auto repair shops don't know how to market to their customers, one. And two, women don't have a safe space to go somewhere where they can go in and say, I want to get my car fixed, but I don't want to be talked down to. I don't want to, and it's not just women, truthfully. Obviously, I mean, I just had a male client pick up, and honestly, my clientele is an even mix. But in general, people are just tired of the way the industry has been.
Yes.
And in my opinion, I think with corporate America that has purchased up all of these, the quotas, the pressure that's put on the employees to sell, that it becomes profits over people, when in reality people are the reasons why we have profit to begin with. So for me, I went back to what one of my very foundational mentors taught me, that there's enough honest work out there that you don't need to lie to people. And for me, I want to play the long game. I don't want to sell the customer everything that they're coming in for. I want to coach them, and I ask a lot of questions at the time of write-up, because almost like a finance director would. I want to know how many miles do you
Bingo.
drive in a year.
Yeah.
I want to know, what do you use the vehicle for every day? Do you drive city? Do you drive highway? All of those are going to make a difference on what I'm going to recommend.
Mhm.
Are you a mom and you're carting around your 3 kids? Or is this just, you're a little old lady that drives to and from church and the grocery store once a week, right? So there's all of those things. And I think everybody kind of got lost in the sauce. Truthfully, when it came to automotive repair, it's sell, sell, sell. Employees get every year they're selling more, but getting paid less. And truthfully, it's not a good way to run a business long term. It turns a lot of people off. So my mission is a lot of things, right? I believe in karma. What you put out in the world is what you get back, right? Treat your customers good, and they'll treat you well too, right? I do the same with my employees. I pay well above what any dealership in my area pays technicians. Obviously, I run still too, but when you're running the whole thing, I can't do it all the time. But
Right.
so there's a lot that goes into that, right? Because I understand the value of people, right?
Yeah.
And when I pay my technicians a livable wage that's a way above market average, not only am I recruiting top talent, but they also want to be honest to the client as well, because they want the customer to come back. They see the purpose, the mission, and my customers, they love what we do here. We are so
Yeah.
transparent. I'm a show and tell type of person. So
Mhm.
I love bringing customers in the shop and showing them how something works and why they need to replace it,
Right.
features, benefits of it, right? Consequences if they don't. We also do that. The software that I use is TechMetric. I think it's great. I'm huge on media upload, picture upload. We do all of that. There's a lot of value in that. So, if you're a shop owner, advisors, technicians listening, it does sell itself. Majority of the time, if you've got
Right.
good notes, you've got a good explanation, and you can explain it well, the
Yeah.
pictures are the supporting documentation. So,
Mhm. Yeah, and it's amazing that the value of having that good experience and the customer trust brings to the long-term value of the shop, right? Because a customer that comes to you once, great, you got to take care of that customer. But if they leave feeling like you took advantage of them or didn't give them the right information or whatever, and they never return, then there's really not that much value there.
correct.
Right?
100%.
It's
100%. And for me, that's what I care about. I want every person leaving here, and knock on wood, my Google reviews, for some reason people keep saying that I have bought my Google reviews, which I don't even know if that's a thing, or that they're AI generated. So I don't know where that comes from, but I take a lot of pride in those. And truthfully, what's even more rewarding is that I didn't even have to ask for them, and that I'm getting
Yeah.
these organically, which I know they say you're supposed to ask for reviews, especially as a new owner. And maybe I would have, 47, 48 positive reviews, or actually now I'm up to 79 customers. Sorry. But anyway, no, I mean, I think it's just having empathy too. I think a lot of people don't realize um, empathy plays a huge factor,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that's also something I make sure every customer that comes in, I give them a hug, because you know what, auto repair is scary and it's not fun, and usually it's frustrating and it's money you don't want to spend. It's not an emotional purchase. It is not something that you get to feel all warm and fuzzy inside after you leave. You don't have a cute bag to go with you, or and so keeping that in mind, and I keep that at the forefront of the conversations that I have with my customers, and just knowing that they don't want to be here. So, my space is very warm and welcoming. I've had so many people that come in, they're like, this looks like a beauty salon, or like, this doesn't look like an automotive repair shop. And that's the point. It has a very luxurious feel. It has a very, mixed vibe of kind of who I am, a little bit of gangster, a little bit of luxury, a little bit of, like, it's fun. It's very dopamine decor. It's very inviting. It's warm. It's fun. And that's what I try to make it the best experience possible, because they don't want to be there. So make them want to be there and make it easy on them. And then they're going to come back.
Yeah. And you're right. Nobody wants to be there. Doesn't matter how nice your waiting room is. It doesn't, there's Mercedes dealerships down near Boston around me that have nail salons and all this other stuff. That's terrific. They still don't want to be there.
Right.
They still don't want to be there.
Exactly.
Right? It may make it a little bit more pleasant, but they still don't want to, they don't want to be there. They don't want to spend money on that. Nobody does. I'm in automotive and I don't like spending money on my car.
Right.
Automotive, I understand why I need to do it, and I still don't do it.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's anything you can do to make the experience a little more pleasurable, make them feel a little more at ease, like empathetic, like you said.
Correct.
I think too often we get confused with empathy and sympathy, right? Where maybe it's an expensive repair, and the advisor, rather than being empathetic to a customer about it, is being sympathetic with them, right? And it's not about feeling bad for somebody because they need a repair. That doesn't help, right? You can never feel bad enough to make somebody else feel better.
Correct.
That doesn't matter what you do. But understanding the situation they're in, and then being able to use that empathy to make that situation a little better for them, or maybe find solutions. That's what makes you a valued advisor to
100%. Yes. And yes, to your point, there is a huge difference that, being empathetic. Hey, the customer came in, they're screaming, they're yelling. Well, their car just died out on them on the highway. It came to a complete stop. They got the kids in the car. They got somewhere to be. Yes. So instead of being on the defense, to like, you put your walls up, you're giving attitude, you're, because now you're trying to one up them. Take it down a notch. Say, I understand. I can only imagine how frustrating that may have been. I'm going to do my best to help you and make this as easy from here on out as possible.
That's what it is all about. And that's what this whole industry is about, is just trying to make it a little easier on a customer.
Correct.
Right? We could go so far if we could just focus on that.
Right. And I get it. It's hard. It's hard to not take things personal. When someone comes in yelling, screaming at you, but let them vent. Yeah. You're just a soundboard. Don't take it personal. Let them vent. And then realize that it's not about you. It's about their car. It's about that. So take yourself out of the equation. And it'll help you perform better as an advisor too. Not to get emotional with them.
Exactly. It's typically it's the fear of the situation, right? That it's either the fear that their car just died and they had their kids with them, or it's the fear that their car just died and they don't know how they're going to get to work later that day or the next day to be able to even pay for repairing this car that they need to get to work to pay for everything else in their life, right? If you can understand the fear a little bit more, you can help get to a solution quicker and easier for a customer.
Absolutely.
Tonya, this has been an awesome conversation. How can people go and find out more about you?
So we are on social media. On Instagram, it is clutch_auto clutch_queen_auto on Instagram, Clutch Queen Auto on Facebook. Haven't had enough caffeine today, clearly. So you can find us there, a website, clutchqueenauto.com as well. So yeah, we're doing some big things in the community coming up, giving back, participating in women car shows that donates to women non-for-profits. And there's a lot more coming at Clutch Queen too. This is just the beginning. So
good deal. We need more women in automotive.
Yes, we do. I love to hear a man say that, Dave. Thank you so much. And, we had a conversation before hopping on air, but yeah, it is, it saddens me the amount of backlash that I still get 20 years later as I did. But truthfully, I'm supporting all the car girlies out there too. And we're making movements, the racers, the backyard mechanics, at-home mechanics, or ones that own their own auto repair shop. So making waves.
All right. I love it. And I can't wait to watch it grow in the future.
Yes, thank you.
All right.